So we're going to go through how you actually open up that bank account step by step, so there is absolutely no confusion and you are ready to go and get paid. Before we get started, there are a few words that might actually come in handy when you're registering. Vorname, which is your first name, Name, your family name, Geburtsdatum is date of birth, Telefon and email is telephone and email. Adresse is address. All of these words are quite similar to English and quite easy to understand. However, then you've got words like Staatsangehörigkeit, which is your nationality, or your Tätigkeit, which is your occupation. Familienstand is your marital status. And Nettoeinkommen is your net income that you make annually. So now that you're set up with those basic terms, I know we ran through them rather quickly. However, we're going to go through that again right now as we register you guys for a DKB bank account. I'll jump into N26 after just to show you how simple it is to really just set up an N26 account or perhaps a bunq account. But let's go into the DKB system now so that you can really get a better understanding of what it is that you're going to have to provide in order to get started. So here is the DKB user interface. And we're going to take this through step by step. So when you're looking at the main homepage, it might look a little confusing, especially since it's in German. So we're going to look for a bank account, and account means Konto, card would mean Karte. So here you can see under Privatkunden, which means private customer, you've got your Konten und Karten, which is account and cards. And so you want to find the account that we've been discussing, which is your free account. You can just go ahead and click Konten und Karten there, and that will bring up different accounts and different cards that DKB actually offers. So you've got here your DKB Cash, which is actually the one that we were discussing, which costs €0 a month. You've got your DKB Cash Gemeinschaftskonto, which is that partner account that we mentioned they also offer. So that's going to be where you go if you'd like to open that partner account. However, we're going to go through the first one just because I think most people are likely going to apply for that. You've also got two other options, which is your DKB Cash for Studenten, which is for students. So let's go ahead and click the DKB Cash so that you can see how to open it. They call this DKB Cash card their free Girokonto or debit card with their DKB Visa card. So you will get that debit card and that Visa card here with DKB. They tell you that there's no fees each month, that you can actually take out money for free all around the world at different ATMs, and that they actually support different sustainable projects, which is also quite cool. So click here, Jetzt DKB Cash eröffnen, and that will take you to the form where you actually just fill out information, and then you'll see right here, step number 3 is to go ahead and open that account. So it is just as simple as creating an account perhaps at one of the English banks like N26 or bunq. However, it's in German. So we're going to go through that. Anrede means are you a woman or a man? Frau is woman, Herr is Mann. Here where it says Vorname, you're going to write your first name. Let's write Jenna. The rest of this information is not going to be accurate, so that just in case nobody comes looking for me. Your name or your Name is your last name. So let's write Davis, since you all know my name. This is your family name, your Geburtsname, which is actually just your maiden name. So if you had one, let's say my last name was actually Tilly. And then you can write your date of birth, which is the Geburtsdatum. You can say it's the 18th of February, 1989 perhaps. Geburtsort is where you were actually born. So the city that you were born in. And your Familienstand, as I mentioned, is going to be your marital status. So that's whether you're ledig, which is single, zusammenlebend, which perhaps you live together with somebody, but you're not yet married. Verheiratet is when you're married. Getrennt leben is when I believe you're married, but you're not living together. Geschieden is when you are separated. And verwitwet is when you are a widow. And I am from Canada. You always have to check here. It gets a little confusing because it's spelled in the German spelling. So make sure that you know which country you're coming from and how it's spelled. And then you can just punch in your email. Perhaps it's j.tilly@gmx.de. And your Handynummer, which is your phone number. Your house number and your street name. The PLZ would be your postal code and your city perhaps. Land is the country that you're living, which is Deutschland. And then it asks, how long have you been living here in Germany? So you can put, if we've just moved in 2018, perhaps we'll punch that in there. The Wohnstatus is asking you whether you live in your own accommodation or you're actually renting from somebody else, or perhaps other, which is sonstiges. So most of us are going to say zur Miete because we're renting. That is also very popular here in Germany, even if you've lived here for a long time. And then here it says, please fill in where you've been living in the last 3 years. Here under this section, it's basically asking you if you're paying taxes here in Germany. And this says, I am required to pay taxes in Germany, either yes or no. So if you're moving here to Germany, you would be required to pay taxes here in Germany. You would say yes. And then here it's talking about your business and where you're working. So your Tätigkeit, as I mentioned, is your profession. So you could say you are a freelancer, perhaps, which is Freiberufler. And this basically goes through different ones, whether you're employed or you're working for somebody. And there's different ones. So perhaps you're working for the government, or you're working for yourself, or you're a mother, or you're retired, or you're a student, or whatever else. Here are all the options. You can go through that and kind of Google Translate your way through if you need to. And then it's going to ask you, how much of your net income are you making per month in euros? And this one says, how long have I been a freelancer? Because I said that I was a Freiberufler. So it says, how long have you been working for yourself? And then it asks you what branch you're working in. So perhaps you're working in the hotel and gastronomy area, or the credit area, or legal and accounting, let's say. And then the Berufsgruppe is basically whether you're working in a notary or as an accountant, and it really goes into all of the different details. So that's the only section that really might get a little bit tricky, but it's nothing that a little Google Translate can't solve. It asks you, does your Aufenthaltstitel or your residence permit have an unlimited date? Yes or no? It asks you if you'd like to add a second person to the account, yes or no. And then it asks you if you'd like to be a DKB customer and get different marketing materials from them via email. And you can say yes or no. If yes, you can fill out your information here. If not, then you can just click Weiter, which is further in your registration. Okay, so I've just fast forward. I've filled out the correct information, and it is basically going through here all of your data protection information. So this is going to be a little bit tough if you don't understand the language, but you can again copy and paste this entire document if you'd really like to understand it all. Otherwise, you can go through and then accept the different areas here so that they're giving your information to Schufa, which is the credit score company, as we mentioned, and then that you understand everything that's included in the different costs and whatnot. And then here it gives you a price list as well if you need to read more up on that, and that you understand that this account is basically for personal reasons and not as a business account. And then here that you understand and that you've actually read this entire document. And then they ask about communication, if you'd like to either receive information and different new deals that they have either in the mail or by telephone, and that you understand the entire contract. And then you can go ahead and go weiter, so further. This was some of the fake information that I put in just so that you could see. You can either go back and change if you want to click Ändern there, or you can go to zum Vertrag, which is taking you to the legally binding document that DKB has sent over. So here is the last step, and that's just basically saying you've almost done it. They give you different information like the contract and the different pricing options and everything else that you can take from a DKB cash card. The only thing that's left to do is click Konto eröffnen, which is open my account. So I'm not going to go ahead and click that because I'm not opening a DKB account today. But just so you get and grasp the understanding of how to open a German bank account. So I'm aware that filling out this entire form in German may not be up your alley at the moment, especially if you're just moving to Germany. So let's jump over onto N26 so I can just show you really how easy it is to open up an English bank account. And as I've mentioned before, N26 is really a favorite here in the expat community. I just wanted to make sure that you knew the other options that you had and that I'm giving you a fair chance to really explore all of your options and the different comparisons and contrasts between each bank so that you can really make that perfect selection for you. So here is N26. The web page is quite easy. all you need to do is click open a bank account, and then they make the claim that you can literally open your bank account in 8 minutes top. You just have to click your country of residence. In this case, you would say Germany because you are moving here to Germany. And then you can actually click whether you'd like your account to be in German, English, French, Spanish, or Italian, but you can just go ahead and click started. They will then ask you for your email address, accept and continue. And then you have to verify your address. You're gonna go through your personal information, your mobile phone number, address, additional information, any tax information, which you can also fill out later on, so don't worry about that. And then you're simply just creating your account. So the only trouble that you're going to run into is around the home address section. And as I mentioned, if you just want to put in a temporary address so that you can get that account before you arrive in Germany, that is a great tip that I have for you, because it's gonna make things a lot simpler. And you've probably noticed that we haven't even talked about finding a job or finding a house or getting started in any other way other than getting your visa. And that is because it is possible to get your bank account started first. And it is so helpful when you have that bank account, when you're already starting to look for an apartment, because you're gonna have to pay that rent with a European bank account, and you're gonna have a European bank account in order to get paid by your employer. And there's so many other steps that require you to have this bank account. So this is why we've done it so early on in the process. And if you do have an address that you can punch in that is within the EU, then I would recommend doing that right now, so that you can just set up your account, whether that's with N26 or any of them. You can get that done right now. We can check it off our list so that we are ready to move on forward with all the other tasks that are required when getting settled here in Germany.